lot of people are asking, are you going to use your new cylinder? And the short answer is no. The longer answer is I was going to, if I had the time to finish it, or finish the engine for the new cylinder and test it. But fortunately I don't. So this year at Bonneville will be the old engine. Next year definitely the new one, in whatever configuration it will be in when that time comes. Because as of yet it's a new concept and it hasn't been tested at all, so we don't know if it works, if it will work, or if it will just destroy itself at the first startup. Okay. The tank is, there's some pinholes. We have welded it for a second time, but still some pinholes. So I have epoxied all the suspect areas, and I think I've plugged the pores, so to speak. So hopefully that'll work, or else, or else it's a threat. Otherwise, I'll fill it up with some tank sealer. So no biggie. We're ready to start it for the first time. This will be a very short startup because it's late and there's no silencer. It will be extremely loud. So I'll just fire it up and see if it starts. If it does, I'll shut it down, and it won't be long until we can do a dyno. Start dyno tuning it. Okay, let's go. The carb isn't adjusted at all. I don't remember what my settings were last time, and they're probably should be close now, so I'll rewatch my video and see what I did there when I ran this carb last time. But let's just see if it fires. If it does, we'll shut it down and hooray. If not, not so hooray. Okay, there's a lot to talk about here. I feel I don't have the time to explain and use a lot of time to do that. So in short, I've run it on the dyno. I thought I seized it for a moment there. Luckily I didn't. Issues, the tank is still leaking. I haven't used the tank sealer yet, so I will take it off and seal it with epoxy. That is probably a good idea anyway, because there's some vibration. The engine is stiff mounted to the frame and it's aluminium and prone to cracking from vibration, so an elastic epoxy liner is a good idea. I'll do that. When I thought I seized, what happened was the fuel solenoid got stuck shut. I lost power for a little second there. I think I saw that the screen on the ignition unit was black. That happened a couple of times before the I thought I seized moment. So I'll have to trace the problem, try to find why it's cutting out. There's a loose connection or a bad switch or something. So it lost fuel, and that could probably have led to it ceasing, because I was monitoring the EGT and I was playing with carb to lower it. It was rising rapidly, was getting close to 1200, and I started richening it up because I was still at low RPM, relatively low RPM, and was actually going to try a run. But then suddenly it just jumped to almost 1300 Fahrenheit and the engine stopped, and I thought, fuck, that's it. But it wasn't. It was the fuel that was completely shut off. Okay, to get to it. just dropped off the kids at the kindergarten, and I'm on my way home. I've taken the day off, and I'm going to try dynoing the bike again. I fixed the things that went wrong last time. The tank is sealed. The fuel solenoid is, I don't know if I mentioned it, but it was jamming, so it's I've deburred the inside. That's probably something they should have done at the factory when they made it. But you have to save somewhere, don't you? Anyways, fixed it. I've rebuilt the carb, which I had forgotten to do before I installed it. These diaphragm carbs are, especially these karting diaphragm carbs, are supposed to be rebuilt quite frequently after each race or before each race. It's obvious I've blown something here. The crank is bent. Let's hope there's not more damage in there. Okay, I'll have to tear it down and have a look. So here's what happened. The main, or the big end bearing, is completely disintegrated. Luckily there's not too much damage to the piston. I have a spare one. I'll probably order another one too. The cylinder is fine, even the head is fine. But this is worrying. I'm not sure why. It's been hot, but it could have gotten hot after it blew. I can't believe it's... and I'm really happy things locked up before it could really get bad. As you can see here, the cage has seized to the pin, and all the pins, you might not be able to pick that up on the camera, but they're actually been flattened. So they have probably welded themselves to. I don't know what happened here. Maybe because I ran a lot of axial clearance, axial play. Has been fine before with the endurance and ER1 crank. Maybe it's not fine with this one, and things got bound up and things got really bad. You can see there's been a lot of heat here, obviously. Okay, so what was supposed to be a dyno session where I just established an EGT temperature. I wasn't going to search for power at all. I was just going to establish EGT for peak power and tune the variator for so that it was staying at around peak power RPM, and then pack things up and ship them next Wednesday. I'm not sure I'll be able to ship, because I have to ship the engine parts separately, everything that has contained fuel. 3 airline companies have said yes to shipping these parts as long as they're purged of fuel, and I have documentation they are from, say, the fire department. But Gardermoen OSL, the Norwegian airport, security there says no. Even though all the all the other companies and airports says yes. So I'll have to ship the parts separately, fuel parts. That's okay, but now I'm in a hurry. But what I'm not going to do now is slip fitting the bearings, because slip fitting makes the axles weaker because of the weaker connection between the bearing inner race and the axle, and that might be what led to the bending and the seizing and stuff here. And also, by not slip fitting, the crank will be fixed axially, so this will cause more friction and a little bit less power, and it will be harder to disassemble, but it might be stronger, and it might not tear the big end bearing apart. So I'll have to cut off the little stub here and fit a new bearing in this case half, and then I'll assemble with this crank and get everything lined up and give it another go. Reassembled with a new crank. Let's see if we can get a run in before it's too late today. Let's go. It's running again, and the crank hasn't bent yet. I'm hoping it won't either. The variator is tuned too low still, and I can't get it up to high enough RPM because it's continuously variating. What I think I'll do is I'll pull out the weights and see if the crank, if the belt won't slip with the weights out. And then it will stay in first gear forever. So let's try that and see how long we can do this before my girlfriend comes home and starts complaining about the noise, because it is extremely noisy. The ignition that's not coping here, so I gapped the plug to a tighter gap, 0.4 millimeters around there. So let's see if that helps. It seemed a little bit better with a smaller gap. That's strange really, because it's been running fine with this or that engine. This engine has been running fine with this ignition before. I'm not quite sure what could have made a difference here. I just discovered that the exhaust bolts and the gasket have the bolts have fallen off and the gasket has been disintegrated, so I'll have to fix that first. Also, my EGT doesn't show any EGT anymore, so probably the sensor is toast. That's happened before. Yeah, so this dyno day has been a lot of work and not so much success yet. Okay, I'll get a new gasket on there and the bolts, and we'll see if we can get it to make a difference. Day after, small window of dyno testing today, or troubleshooting. I've added a ground cable here in case the connection in the linear bearings aren't good enough. That's a real possibility when it's vibrating a lot. I switched around the two terminals here, or switched the cables, switched over the connections. I think I had the positive connected to the negative. Doesn't really make that much of a difference, but with it the right way around, the first voltage spike will be negative. And this means the electrons will flow from the center electrode to the ground strap. And the center electrode is running hotter, and thereby it's easier for the electrons to travel or to jump from it. They're more eager to jump from a hot surface. So that might it actually makes quite a difference, maybe 20%, 30% difference in needed voltage for a spark to jump. And under high cylinder pressure, that can make a big difference. Yes, so hope I'm crossing my fingers here that it will work. It will rev and not just pop and lose and skip ignition cycles. Also, I have a feeling maybe this switch could be losing contact or switching off from vibration, so I'm going to take it off the handlebars and leave it hanging there and see, and maybe some of these solutions will help. Still misfiring at higher RPM, did not seem to make much of a difference. The things I did here. Definitely need to solder the connections on the fuel solenoid. It's getting better. I think the main problem here is the stinger, which is really too tight for the power I'm expecting this to output. I did run it last year and it had about 18 horsepower at the wheel, so there's probably a lot more in the engine. Big loss in the variator and stuff. The stinger is too tiny, but it will work at Bonneville because we're now almost at sea level, and Bonneville is 4,200 feet, I think. So there's maybe a 25% performance decrease at that elevation. and the stinger will work then, and then the ignition won't have such a hard time coping. And also now I'm running the battery at around 14 volts. I can 3.8 volts per cell, I think. I charged it to 3.9. I can easily charge it up to 4.2. You can take that, and I will have a little bit more voltage to multiply in the secondary winding in the coil. This is TCI, so the primary coil is always connected to the positive side of the battery. Then, for a short period, in this case it's I think 30 milliseconds, it's grounded for the coil, the primary coil, to charge up, and then the ground is broken, and this causes a big spike in the primary winding, which leads to a even much larger spike in the secondary winding. Okay, this wasn't meant to be a lesson on coils and stuff. Anyways, I think it will be fine. I'm not sure it's a good idea to push it hard with that stinger. A tight stinger is a good recipe for destruction. So, but it's working, and I have a few days in Utah for tuning at the right elevation and for road testing and stuff. Good. I think we're good. Okay, fix a few things and start packing the bike up. A large portion of it will be shipped separately, and then the rest I will take with me on the plane. Shipping the bike today, I managed to cram everything except the wheels in there and some spares that haven't arrived yet, that I've ordered. A new crank, because I broke the spare one I had. So yep,